Um, right now, I wanted to share something with you all real quickly. Um, but before I get into it, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you want more information. But the information that I'm about to give right now is really raw and uncut. But one of the things that I don't think that I've actually had the opportunity to do is to really sit down and just digest my whole spiritual journey. So I'm just going to take you all down memory lane just for a moment and let you know a little bit about me. Um, I actually came into spirituality quite some time ago. I want to say it was during my first marriage, and I want to say roughly, somewhere around 2008, 2009. Whenever The Secret came out, I, I can't Google it right now because I'm recording this video, but when The Secret came out, it sparked something in me. And unlike many people who just went with the law of attraction and let me manifest my world, something inside of me just kept looking for, like, there's more to this. There has to be more to what they're saying. And I went through and researched each one of the speakers that was on The Secret. Um, Going down that rabbit hole that led me to Ram Dass. If you don't know who Ram Dass is, I definitely recommend that you look him up. He was actually referred to me by Wayne Dyer. I'm pretty sure y'all have heard of that name before. And it sent me down the Eastern philosophy path, the Eastern spirituality path, and I went real heavy into Buddhism and things of that nature. Even so far, I was looking for a Buddhist temple in Alabama. I found one, but they weren't open on a regular basis, so I didn't attend that one. Uh, and of course, you can imagine that at this time, when I'm searching for these answers and I'm looking into the eastern part of the world for this knowledge that I was seeking, even though I was going to church, I was still uh, back and forth with it. And eventually, when I didn't find the answers that I was looking for in the Eastern traditions, of course, I went back to Christianity. Time went on after divorce, things of that nature. Um, Even before I got with Leisha, before we came into our beautiful union, there was this one other young lady that I dated. And it started out so beautiful. It was like something from a storybook or some movie or some shit like that. But it ended, and it ended abruptly. It's kind of like, if you ever just running fast and you got the breeze blowing in your hair and you feeling good, and then bam, you hit a fucking wall. I hit that wall so hard, y'all, it sent me into my first dark night of the soul. And if you've ever gone through a dark night of the soul, you can understand that that first one is pretty intense. It is very fucking intense. Um, it actually got me to the point that, and it wasn't so much that the relationship ended, it forced me to really take a look at myself and be like, damn, like what's really going on? Are you the problem in this whole? It sent me down a whole rabbit hole, a very dark rabbit hole. Um, but at some point, even through, now here's the thing, even when I was still attending church. Actually, I wasn't attending church anymore at this time. I was watching. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the guy's name right now. Very deep pastor. And looking back at his teachings now, I can see how they were a lot esoteric. And why can't I remember his name right now? If I remember his name, afterwards, I'll put a picture somewhere here with his name. Um, but he had this one sermon that he did. And gosh, I can't remember what was going on with the sermon. So let me move forward on this. This is a while back, y'all. So forgive me, my memory's not as great. But during this depression that I was in, I got to my lowest point. And when I got to this lowest point, something that the pastor has said sparked something in me, which was that um, I had to figure out what was real. What was real? And in addition to that, I was watching one of Michael Beckwith's videos, and he talked about how he went through his same thing, about he hit this deepest part of his life, and he was like, one of the things he asked himself was, what would I need to do in order to be okay? What would I need to do in order to be okay? What would need to change in order for me to keep living? And he had his own answer to that, of course, but mine was to find out what was actually real. What was real? Because when you look at this car, for example, it may seem solid, but we all know it's not. Um, and also, the other thing was, what was real never changes. And when you start going down the rabbit hole of thinking about what doesn't change, you find very little. You find very, very, very little. But one of the things, as I continued to go down this process, one of the things I understood that didn't change was my soul. And of course, we know that our souls are energy, and energy can never be created nor destroyed. It is only transferred, but it always stays the same. It is always energy. It is never anything else. It doesn't change into wind. It may influence wind, but it doesn't become wind. Energy is energy, and it never changes. I was like, okay. And so I'm like, but there's more to this. There's got to be more to this. Like, this whole existence has to be more than what it seems. It's like that song that Jay-Z did with Beanie Siegel, This Can't Be Life. It's got to be more, right? And to make a long story short, because I really don't want to make this video too long, I definitely have to get back and get some other things done. But when I got with Leisha, and at that time we were real heavy into Ralph Smart in the early stages. And this was before we found out about twin flames, by the way. Once again, for those who don't know, we knew absolutely nothing about twin flames before we got together. But there's this video that Ralph did about the God program. And when I watched that video, and I know back in the day, before I really got into spirituality, I was really heavy into Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. And he talked about how nobody's coming to save you. And, you know, I figured that as far as this physical sense, that if I was going to be successful, I needed to pull myself up by my bootstraps and get it done. But when Ralph brought up this God program, it was like, what the fuck? Like, there is no savior out there. There's no savior outside of me that's going to save my soul. I remember that day very, very well. I was riding back from my meeting, and I was back on the road trip. And when I listened to that video, and it just fucking hit me, that nobody is coming to save me. No E.T., no Jesus, no Yahshua, no Buddha, no Muhammad. Nobody is coming to save me. And as I was having this epiphany riding down the road, I called Leisha and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, nobody's coming to save us. So you know what that meant? At that very moment, I realized that I had to save myself. And when I realized that I had to save myself, I started really diving into knowledge, getting as much information as I could. And this video is also a really big shout out to those who really helped influence my path and help me to see certain things from different perspectives, so I can take this piece from here and this piece from there and that piece from there and this piece from over here and put it together so that I can see a full picture, for at least the picture that I can see from my own perspective. And one of those pivotal teachers was Seven Bomar. Seven dropped a whole lot of science. And one of those sciences that he dropped was about the spine and the fluid going up the spine. And I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. And just really tapping into yourself and getting into breath work. And I found an awesome dude on YouTube. I've shared this video quite a few times on our community tab. He does this awesome breath work, and it is just amazing. But then even with the information that Seven was dropping, and granted, Seven goes hard and he goes deep, I was like, I feel like there's a different side to this. And I started looking into the topics that he talked about, and I started looking for books that reference those different topics. And to make a long story short on this particular part, I started looking into Kabbalah, started looking into the Hebrew text, the Nag Hammadi, looking into different books. Gosh, it led me down a whole rabbit hole. And at that time, when I was diving down this, like, all this love and light, like how everything is beautiful and things of that nature. But once again, following that same nudge as when I started my spiritual journey and looking into the secret, there's that nudge that just kept saying that there's something more. There's something more. It's like, okay. And lo and behold, as I'm going down YouTube feed looking for videos to spark or lead me to wherever I wanted to go, we ran across Bobby Hemmett. And if you are not familiar with Bobby Hemmett, shame on you. Shame, shame, shame on you. Bobby Hemmett, oh my gosh. My baby and I, we called it the moments when we just had Bobby Hemmett in paint. That's what we did. My baby was painting and we were listening to Bobby Hemmett and just diving into the things that he said, all of the books that he recommended. We went through and, like, y'all, we have like over 150 something books from what Bobby Hemmett recommended. And we haven't dived into all of them. Well, at least I haven't dived into all of them but I have read them, but as far as diving into it and really studying it, no. But getting the gist of what's going on, yes. So it really sent me down the occult path. The occult path. The hidden path. I was like, oh, bam, that's it. That's the other side that I was missing on this spiritual journey. Because, like, you got this side when it comes to spirituality, where it's all beautiful, namaste, love and light, all of that stuff. But then there's the other part, the doth part on the tree that they normally don't want to show sometimes. And it's in that hidden part that I found a lot of epiphanies. And with that, Bobby Hemmett made it okay to look into the dark side of things. Because in understanding, when you look at how this civilization was set up and the way that these countries were colonized, pretty much the stories were flipped. And understanding that we're living in an upside down world. Keep that in mind as well. That whatever they said that was good is bad, and what is bad is good. And when you look into all of that, you can really see it. You can see, because, for example, just take a example out of life. If you were in a fight with someone and you won the fight, but you don't want the other person to tell their side of the story. So what do? You villainize that person. You make them seem evil for even fighting you. You even come up with stories about how they picked on you and how they stepped on your toe, or how they threw mud in your face and they fought dirty. They threw sticks and stones and I was just fighting with my bare hands. When in actuality, it was an equal fight, but you just barely got out of there with your life. So when you look at history, which is his story, it's just one side of the thing. And because they understood that the other side could potentially have power that could free and liberate other people, they suppressed it, they demonized it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm out here practicing black magic. Don't even go down that road. I'm very aware of everything that goes on, because one of the books that I read early on before I even learned about The Secret, back in whenever it was created, I knew about the art of war. If you haven't read The Art of War, I definitely recommend that you read that book, because it will help you to understand. Because one of the things when it comes to the art of war is that you have to understand your enemy. You have to understand how they move, because you cannot be oblivious and just think you're going to walk down the road all happy going lucky, not knowing that there's a robber right around the corner that got a billy club. But if you understood the personalities of a robber, you knew that they like to sneak and hide behind corners and they like to fight unfair. So you have to be aware of who you consider your enemy so that you'll know how to move throughout this world. So yes, I know all about it. From the rituals to the talismans to everything. And I thank Bobby Hemmett for that, because he helped me to see this world for what it is and people for what they are, so that I don't fool myself and say, oh no, they're a good person. No, fuck, they not. I used to be a big fool back in the day. I was so gullible, y'all. I just believed that everybody was good and everybody did the right thing. Oh, so naive. But I digress. But moving forward, understanding one of the things that came about as far as when it comes to enemies is understanding the fact that I was my own worst enemy. And actually, not so much me, but my mind. Understanding the thoughts that I would say to myself, the self defeating things that I would do. And once I recognized that I was my worst enemy, that it doesn't matter what anybody outside this world does, they can't do anything worse to me than I do to myself. I was like, well, shit, well, if I can do the worst things to myself, let me really get a grasp on this mind and understand what's going on. And And I really want to thank Panic for that. If you don't know who Brother Panic is, definitely check that brother out on occultlectures.com. Occult Lectures on YouTube. He is the only one on there that is dropping mad science. One of the things that Brother Panic really helped me out with was understanding the psyche of my mind and how I could use that to elevate myself. And then the second thing that he taught was how to die. Because one of the things that would have really held me back was any type of fears. And this is something I did when I was going through my shadow work, and I was really trying to understand what was I afraid of, what did I have bias of, what did I hate, and things of this nature. But one of the things I feared was that I didn't know what happened after I died. And Brother Panic broke down a whole 16-hour lecture on how to die. We actually did a recap of it on our YouTube channel because we knew that other people weren't going to digest that 18-hour lecture, so we had to at least water it down a little bit so that people can get the concept. But could you all believe that after going through all of these rabbit holes, getting all of this knowledge, that over this past year, that feeling once again came up as there's something missing, there's something else. I was like, what the fuck else could there be? And lo and behold, one day we were putting together some rituals. Nothing dark, y'all. We were putting together some rituals, and I kept hearing people talking about using psalm magic. I'm like, psalm magic? You talking about the Bible? What? How the hell are you going to use the Bible for magic? And went down that rabbit hole and understood that, I already knew that the Bible was allegorical, but I didn't know for what purpose it was allegorical for. And so when I started going through and reading Psalms, and I'm seeing these things, and I'm looking at whole rituals in the Bible, y'all, talking about the herbs that you need, the animal sacrifices that need to be done, where you need to get water from, things of this nature, whole rituals in the Bible. That's for a whole nother video. But it opened my eyes to understand. I'm like, hold on, maybe I've just been looking at this whole Bible thing the wrong way. Not Christianity in the way in which it was taught. The way that Christianity was taught to me was dead ass wrong. And they know that shit. But after getting into the occult and learning the codes and the words that are being said, I came to the revelation that really the Bible and really any spiritual text, any holy text, is really an alchemical blueprint for your ascension, for my ascension. And I was like, oh, this is this other piece. This is this other piece that it's talking about. And then it came back around about the holy oil. And looking into all of the stories that were in the Bible and understanding that the story of Jesus walking on water has to do with us being able to rise above our emotions, because our emotions are water. If you've been in this spiritual community, you know, spiritual community long enough, you know that your emotions are like water. And so Yahshua was able to rise above the water and walk on it because he was undisturbed about it. That the boat that was being rocked back and forth represented the physical body and how certain situations just rock the boat back and forth. But if you get up and rise above it all. You can tell the storm to be still. You can tell the waters to be calm by meditating. And you can walk on water. And so now I'm just seeing all of these patterns throughout just living a life and putting all of the pieces together. And now just really understanding where I sit as a Pisces sun with my ascending sign as Pisces as well. I understand that this is my last go round. I'm just making sure that I'm covering all of my bases, that I've learned all of the lessons that I needed to learn so that I can move on to the next octave. And please keep a note of understanding that, yes, we were so excited learning about twin flames and what it means as far as finding love, because I always wanted to find love. I'm one of those people who is in love with being in love. But we didn't stop there. We did not stop at twin flames because we understood that there was more to life than just twin flames. And what's more important right now is us going to the next level. I hope this information was helpful for you all, and hopefully I didn't ramble off and go off the rails on anything. But I'm saying all of this to say, for one, to put my story on record of the journey that I went through. And it's so much. I just gave y'all a breakdown of the last, 10, 15 years of my life in less than 30 minutes. So, of course, there's a lot of information that was in between there, but I'm just giving you all the cliff notes on it so that you can understand that one of the things that I am so grateful for is that even though I may not have jumped on those spiritual nudges, I delayed. I was like, I'll look into that later. Oh, that's not so important. I got to go to work right now. But eventually, I followed up on those nudges. And those nudges have brought me to the point to where I can love unconditionally. I know that I still have work that I need to do. I'm grateful, so grateful for Alicia and the love that she has given to me. She means the absolute world to me. I will say that she is the one who really sparked me on my spiritual journey, which is one of the roles that twin flames are supposed to do for you. And they're supposed to spark you on your journey so that you keep going on your journey, not just stay right there in the love bubble. But I am so grateful for her intelligence, for her wisdom, for her love. It is just so amazing to me when I look at her. It is amazing. My whole job is to keep her safe and to be the best person that I could be. And the best person for me to be is one who can alchemize this whole existence on this plane so that we can go on to the next. And whatever information I have to share along the way, I'll share. And to be honest, there's really some things that I just really cannot say because not everybody has the same knowledge that I have. Not everybody sees things the way that I see it. And that's the beautiful thing about it, because just like our thumbprints, nobody's thumbprint is the same. Even twins have different thumbprints. Nobody's the same. But all journeys lead to the same path. eventually everybody makes it home. And I am so looking forward to going back home. I'm not rushing the process. I am enjoying the rest of this existence while it is here. But I am super excited about this last go round because I know that I am not reincarnating on this plane. I'm going on to a whole new adventure, and I'm happy and at peace with that. And I understand, uh, you know what? I can't even believe I forgot to say this. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to get out. After all of the things that I've gone through and understanding that there wasn't a savior that was going to save me, out of all of the spiritual journeys that I've gone on, all of the books that I've read, all of the people that I've talked to, the different perspectives that I've heard, I've come to the realization that I am everything that I was looking for. Leisha aside, I love myself so much. My heart is just throbbing right now. I don't know if you all can feel it right now, but the realization of I was my whole savior this entire time. And it is my responsibility to create the reality that I want to live in. That's nobody else's responsibility. It's not Leisha's responsibility. It's not my mother's, my father's. It's not the children in my life. It's not my coworkers. It is 100, it is 1,000% my responsibility for my own salvation, for my own happiness, for my own love. And that brings me more peace than anything. There is no amount of money that I could have received that would equal the way that I feel in this very moment. So hopefully this information inspires you to follow your nudges, to not discount different perspectives, because they're just all perspectives. And if you can gather the perspectives from every which way, you can get a whole 360 view of what's really going on so that you know how to move in this world. But you are your number one mission. You are your number one mission, not the world, not sharing information with everybody else. I mean, you share information along the way, especially when those who ask for that information, but your main mission is you. Not your kids, not your job, not your spouse. Your main mission is you. I love y'all. I really do. And I love y'all because I love myself. Hope y'all can do the same. Peace out.